I didn't take art classes.
I was going to say.
So all I have is T-shirts that I painted on. Then he picks up one of my shirts, puts it down. He picks up Rick Ross, puts it down. He's like, I'm going to be honest.
Oh, here you go. Yep.
This is brilliant. I said, excuse me.
Right. Hi. Thank you for joining yet another episode of Get Set with Lissette. This is where we have inspiring conversations that empower you to get set. And tonight's episode is exactly that. I've known this gentleman for years. I've watched his evolution. I've seen his art flourish. I am with no other than Bryan Prolifik Hickman.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm so happy that you have taken the time to have this conversation with me. As I've been saying with anyone that sat on this couch, I make sure that when I'm having guests come, I want to make sure that I'm being true to the fact that I need to be inspired by them. Yeah. And we've had conversations personally. You know how I feel when it comes to your art and when it comes to you, period. Yeah. Watching your growth, watching the evolution, seeing the things that you've done, like genuinely, I am so proud. I am inspired. And I just thank you. Thank you for being here.
It's love all the way around. And I've always gotten that support from you and just community that I've grown up with and around too. Yes. So it's a beautiful thing to be at this point where I can receive all that love and then harness it into what I do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this. So one of the things that I always like to do before we get started is just a quick icebreaker. Okay. Get the nerves out. Make sure that you're ready to have the conversation. Yeah. It's only going to be a few. Okay. And this is more of an idea of who you are as well. So it's an are you, right? Mm-hmm. Sweet or salty?
Sweet.
Okay. Morning person or night owl?
Night owl.
Night owl?
For sure.
Really?
Yeah, I am not a morning person. I haven't been a morning person since I had to be in elementary school.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah.
Introvert or extrovert?
Introvert.
Okay. And then this one, there's honestly not a wrong answer. Are you going to watch the YouTube or listen to the podcast?
I'm going to do both, actually.
I ain't mad at you.
Sometimes you need the background noise, and sometimes you have space to actually watch something. So
absolutely. And we're not going to call this background noise, okay? This is good stuff.
Exactly.
Here.
This is the foreground to the background noise, okay?
Okay. I'm not mad. All right. Well, you know what? Cheers. Let's have a great conversation.
Absolutely.
Oh, I love it. Okay. Here we go.
Oh, I'm officially set.
You set. Ready to get set?
I am.
Here we go. All right. So one of the first things that I really wanted to dive into is your backstory.
Yeah.
So sharing a little bit about your childhood, where you come from, your roots, like all the things that have actually grounded you and gotten you to where you are today and the man that stands here today. So share.
I'm born and raised Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I was born in 1989, 90s baby.
Talk about it.
You know, definitely a culture that is still prominent to this day amongst the younger generations. So I'm
even
proud.
More today.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like a lot of customs that we know and love today and enjoy. Like you can go to Spencer's or Hot Topic and walk into the 90s right there.
It. You see everything 90s right now.
Do you even know what's on that graphic tee?
Exactly. Did you actually even really see?
Do you know who Pink Floyd is?
Y'all ain't never.
Nah. But that was the era where I was definitely coming into my interests, my likes, my dislikes.
Okay.
My parents were divorced during my early childhood, so I never really got a chance to see them as a
unit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but because of that, I got the blessing of being able to be raised in multiple households. My mom was more the clear-cut, logical, do your homework, go to bed, eat
no
dinner.
BS.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
My grandmom's house, that's where my dad lived at the time. That was more free form. Everything.
Do what you want.
Do what you want. As long as you are in this house and safe, that's all I care about.
Okay.
And so that's, what really allowed me the freedom to have a creative license to be able to explore different avenues of my creativity or my imagination.
Right, right.
You know, me and my brother, we became artists together in that house.
Really?
Yeah. So
speak on that, because I always think of you. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I don't know much when it comes to your brother. No offense. I do apologize. I will do my research. But when it comes to you, I knew that. So, but the two of you have gotten into art.
So he's 4 years younger than me.
Okay.
So you know, I had a relationship with my dad in those early years.
Yeah.
You know, just like drawing pictures with him and everything like that, and everything that I drew, like he was framing it, putting it on the wall.
So he was like, "Oh, this is my baby. Did this?"
Yeah,
he's one of those.
It was one of those.
Okay.
Both of my parents were like that.
I
for
love
sure. So after my brother was born, I'm sitting there watching him in infant form, just playing with him, wanting to be the caretaking brother.
Same. Yeah, I get that.
So once he started getting his motor skills together, we started connecting even deeper. And so one day we stumbled upon my grandmom's attic.
Okay.
And we were like, this could be our play space, because our bedroom wasn't that big.
Right.
So we asked my grandma, we're like, can we do this? She
Right.
was like, let me childproof the attic
Right,
first.
right. Let me make sure you guys are going to be all right.
She had to dust it down and clear it of all the dangerous stuff, the sharp objects and stuff like that. So once it was clear for us to go up there, between from our childhood all the way up until our high school years, that was our creative space.
Really?
That was our creative space. And so it wasn't even just painting or drawing. It was everything that you can put creativity towards. So we would be down in our bedroom playing video games, Sega Genesis.
Okay, love it.
Nintendo 64, all that.
Had all those.
And then we're watching Nickelodeon and everything, the classic shows back then and everything. So our imagination is being fed. So our bedroom is like the incubator.
And then you'd go up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, for instance, there was a lot of like family shows where like families would go through obstacle courses and stuff.
I remember those. Yeah, like especially on Nickelodeon. Yeah, got it.
Hidden Temple.
Right, I remember Hidden Temple. That's one I thought of.
We're like, after show's off, we're like, I want to be on that show.
Okay.
And we're like, all right, well, let's go up in the attic. There's a lot of objects up there.
You created your own.
We made a whole obstacle course out of all the objects that we could find in the attic, and we're timing each other going through it.
How quick you can. I love this.
That's a small, like, we literally did everything up there.
Okay.
Like, you know, from like being influenced by wrestling.
Okay.
Like, we were practicing moves on each other.
You're just there.
It was definitely our spot.
So that attic then, in theory, became literally a blank canvas to become whatever world you guys created.
Correct.
Okay, and so whether it was artistic, like you said, or it was creating the actual obstacle courses and anything, like you had creative form to just make what you wanted to see. Exactly. Oh, I love that.
And it wasn't for anything other than just to do it. And like we didn't need anybody else's validation but each other's. Our own.
Okay.
So like once we got to high school, we went to separate schools. So while I'm in high school, he's in middle school.
Okay.
And so the only time we really could see each other was at my grandmom's house.
Got it.
And so there came a time where we started painting on our clothing. And so we're painting, like I'm painting Chester Cheeto on my t-shirt.
Okay.
And, you know, like the 2000s, like 2006.
Yeah.
Everybody's wearing baggy everything.
Baggy everything.
4XL t-shirt. I'm 100 pounds.
Fair. I know the looks, and I'm so glad they're gone.
Men's big and tall on me, and I am just like that.
But it's a blank canvas.
It was a big canvas for us, so it worked in our favor. Right. I'm like, this is a lot of canvas to work with.
Absolutely. Well, not for nothing. You did that then in adulthood too, because I remember. Okay.
Yes, it carried through adulthood for sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that was definitely our entry point.
That's your entry point. Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that.
Because we were just like challenging each other. We were like, all right, since we go to separate schools, let's wear what we created, and then bring the experience back to each other.
I love that.
Whoever got the most compliments wins.
Then that's the one who won. Oh, so you made it competitive with him. Like, all right, so whoever, okay.
Yeah, for sure. So we were painting on sneakers, shirts, everything. Oh. And just, you know, there's still some of our old work in like the closet.
In the closet?
Yeah.
Y'all could, I mean, they are going to be way baggier now, but I feel like baggy is starting to make its way back. Hopefully not as extreme.
Look, I sell it to a big and tall brother.
Talk about it, because I was gonna say, you have a lot, like, and I remember seeing some of your art actually being on clothing and things of that nature. Yes. So I mean, why not bring out the archives? You might have an opportunity there.
Yeah.
Well, and you lend yourself to one of my other questions, which was, where did you like find that inspiration when you were younger for the art? So it was just literally you and your brother creating that space together and making whatever it was that you wanted.
Yeah, ultimately it was just having an environment around me, period. Even outside of my grandmom's house, like the rest of my family, because they saw that painting and drawing and art
in general
was something that I was giving a lot of my passion and energy to at such a young age.
Yeah,
they had to be a safe space where that can grow.
And so it was fostered early.
Yeah,
I love that.
They're my biggest cheering section, and so
I love that for you.
It could be anything. Like even when that short period where I got into music, like I'm showing these songs just to my family.
Hold on.
Yeah.
When were you doing music, and why have I never heard of me? Hold on. You're taking a left real quick.
Listen,
when did you do music?
So my entry point to poetry, one of my entry points was through my dad, because there was a period where he was locked up.
Okay.
And so while he was locked up, he had this notepad where he just wrote down a lot of his poetry, that he had all the free time to put his mind to good work. And so he read those to me as he got home and everything. So he was definitely one of those entry points.
Okay.
Tupac, definitely.
Fair.
Yeah. And then also 8th grade. My 8th grade English teacher, shout out to Mr. Jones.
I love that. Go ahead, Mr. Jones.
Yeah, man. He definitely challenged the class to get into writing poetry. And that's when I found out that I had a gift of writing. Because I read things a lot. Like I read books at a young age, and so I knew the style at which certain authors would write.
Right, you could kind of pick up on those cadences.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so like I was translating that into writing, and then he told us to write poetry, haikus, and everything like that. Yeah. Oh man, I'm just like at home, just going to town on this notepad.
I love this. Wait a minute. So I'm sitting here focused on, of course, your amazing artwork, and we're going to talk about you today. Which thank you so much for bringing the piece. But you're just a creative at heart.
Yes. Yes.
So just whether it's picking up a pen to draw or to write or to paint or to do, tell me you can hit a note and we're gonna have like.
I'm practicing.
No,
I'm going through my do re mi.
Okay, are you doing that on what is that, TikTok, the little challenge?
I haven't had enough courage to do that challenge yet. But because I'll drop the ball literally.
Quick, or just go real high and let it just
just let it sell. Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, I was gonna say, because if you can hold a note, so you're just a creative, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I deem myself the artist of infinite mediums, and so I've never wanted to confine myself to one medium. There are mediums that I do celebrate regularly, but then if I feel liberated to try a new medium, I'm gonna do it. I
love this.
Like I have a creative mind, so it should translate throughout each medium.
Absolutely.
So
I'm learning so much.
Yeah.
No, I really honestly, I'm actually, like I told you, and when I prepped you for this episode, I even said we might go left.
Hey, look.
And we've already, first thing, and we've gone left, because I don't think I realized, so for example, I always say I come from a musical family.
Yeah.
And I think you know my sister, and she can sing.
Oh, yeah,
and
she can blow.
She can sing like no other. And I can hold a note, but when it comes to my sister, I was more inclined when it came to music. But I've always said when it came to the arts, our family's more musically inclined, but I'm a stick figure kind of girl. So I never I always separated the two, I think. But it's really refreshing to see that you were just a pure creative to your core. Like it doesn't matter what medium, what form, you're going to find a way to just express yourself.
Yeah, and I think the medium that you choose to stick with for an extended amount of time,
absolutely,
that becomes your discipline. And an artist's discipline is just seeing what we can do with patience. And so I'm like, all right, well, I'm filled with patience. Am I patient enough to pick up this tool and fail a couple of times and then actually refine my skills in that to until it becomes a regular practice for me.
Okay.
You know, so.
At what point then, with saying that, and I mean, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you've picked up the discipline when it comes to your painting specifically.
Yes.
Like that's what you're most known for, and that's where I feel like you've created a platform on.
Yeah.
At what point did you make the decision to make that your discipline, or did it just like happen naturally?
So I have a beautiful story behind that.
Okay.
So I attended Sci-Tech High in Harrisburg. So that naturally is a school of science and technology focused learning. So all of the art that I was creating, painting, the shirts and everything, that took place outside of my academics.
Right.
We did have like arts, performing arts like centers like CASA and everything. I never,
Right, because you're also extremely bright, so don't shy away from that either. But so you went to science and technology.
Yeah. So while I was there, that's where I developed and refined my skills in painting and everything on clothes. But it was just leisure. And so once I got to my senior year, they're like, you got to start asking yourself the question, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? And around that time, the only artistic skills that I had picked up inside of school was graphic design.
Fair.
Which did me a lot of good because, it allowed me to be a freelance artist, graphic artist.
Right, yeah,
So I was doing web design, still do to this day. So that's just like something I added. But I was like, let me pursue that.
Okay.
So I applied to several colleges, got in at Shippensburg University. So that's where I attended school. And so when my freshman year, we had week 1 of classes.
Okay.
Most of my classes are art related.
Right.
I had drawing, computer design, ceramics, art history, art appreciation, all those.
I would have been messed up. I would say that. There goes my GPA.
So one thing that I quickly figured out was that I was one of maybe 3 Black students in the whole art department.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of my art classes, I was the only Black art student. And so I'm like desperately trying to make some, friends and establish some rapport to just get some comfortability. It was a culture.
Absolutely. It is a huge culture shock.
Oh my God.
I don't know about you, but so similar. I graduated from Harrisburg High. I went from Harrisburg High to Kutztown University.
Oh, yeah.
Same dynamic.
Yeah.
You're one of very few.
Yeah.
So how did that work? Because the culture shock is real.
So I made a couple friends that first week, and one of those friends, his name is Vinny.
Okay.
We bumped shoulders because he was just like that edgy guy. Like he was just like, I don't want to be here, but I know I got to be here. Everybody was so like just, I need to be here and perform the highest.
Right.
He was just the laid back one.
Okay.
So, he was like, he asked me a question. He was like, so what do you got prepared for the freshman portfolio review?
Sheesh.
And I was like, the what?
Right. You're like, been here for a week.
He's like, you didn't check your school email? I was like, we have school emails?
I can't with you, bro.
So I finally get my email and my email password.
Right.
Log in. I see 2 days ago, we get a notification from the head of the art department, which was one of the professors.
Okay.
And so he's like, welcome all freshman art students. Just a reminder, this Wednesday and Thursday, we will be holding freshman portfolio reviews in the gallery of the art building. So bring all some of the best work from your high school days, your high school classes and everything like that. I didn't take art classes.
I was going to say.
So all I have is T-shirts that I painted on.
Okay.
So they're like, the criteria that we're judging on is you need at least 2 or 3 2-dimensional pieces. So like drawings, paintings, etc. And then at least 1 3-dimensional piece, like a sculpture. Okay. I have never done sculpture.
Got it.
So I'm panicking at my friend Vinny. He's like, look, for the sculpture, just they did construction on the bottom floor of the art building. So in the stairwell, there's a brick of plaster. Just steal a piece of plaster.
Okay,
and
Vinny.
Whittle something.
Yeah.
So I did. So I took a piece of plaster to my dorm and used a box cutter, and I sculpted a dragon wrapped around a stone.
You know what? You made a dragon just
Yeah, 'cause I was panicking. So like that pressure of like
the adrenaline had you going.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was that, and then I had, of course,
that's just art, like just coming out of your pores.
So day of the review.
Yeah.
I have my t-shirts laid on the floor because I don't know how to present them.
Right.
Face up. And so I had like a painting of Rick Ross.
Okay.
I had a painting of Spider-Man, and I think I had one of Hannibal Lecter. So all these t-shirts were just, it looked like I was a vendor.
Right. Got it.
So these professors just come in. Everybody's wrapped in a semicircle around the gallery.
Got it.
With their work. I'm intimidated because I'm looking at everybody else's work. The girl next to me, she had peacocks that she had sculpted from scrap metal, and they were standing on their own.
Right. Okay.
So I'm just like, oh my God. And then the way that they went around, I was going to be the last one that they reviewed.
Right.
So they explained it. They were like, all right, this is just a light review. It's one to give us a sense of the type of artist.
Right, doing more of like an assessment. Yeah.
And then two, to get you used to the type of environment that you're going to encounter in every art class. Because every art class, you don't just turn in the project.
Right.
You put it in the middle of the class and everybody critiques it.
Reviews it. Okay.
And you can either take those comments and refine it or say it's done.
Right.
So they're going through everybody. They get to the lady with the peacocks. Big professor. He's like 6'5".
Okay.
He's eyeing her work. He looks at her, looks back at the work. He's like, I'm gonna be honest, this is a piece of crap. That's everybody's reaction in the room.
Okay.
They're like, even me, my heart dropped.
Right. Mine just did now, and I don't know this poor lady.
Yeah.
I'm like, this poor girl.
She starts crying.
Absolutely.
Tearing up and everything. And they had to take a few extra minutes to console her. They're like, look, we're just getting you used to it. Not everybody's going to fool with your work.
Exactly.
So get used to the critiques and everything. So they console her. Then they turn to me, and I'm like,
you're like, here we go. Right. Yeah, like I'm ready.
So he does the same thing. He picks up one of my shirts, puts it down. He picks up Rick Ross, puts it down. He's like, I'm going to be honest.
Oh, here you go. Yep.
This is brilliant. I said, excuse me.
Right. You're like, what?
So he was like, I've never seen art used so practically where it can be a canvas could be worn. And the more he's talking, the more I'm like, you know, you're right.
Right. Take those words of affirmation.
But I'm coming from my own culture of like having airbrush stations in every mall.
That was our thing.
That was normal.
But that was the culture that we grew up in.
Exactly.
Right.
So because I took a cultural norm and presented it to another culture,
a new culture,
they're like eating it up. So I'm just like, you know what? Art is subjective.
Absolutely.
And so I deserve to take myself as seriously as they're taking me.
There it is.
And from that point on, and the kicker is throughout my 4 years there, the only art class that I never took was painting.
Wow.
I took drawing, ceramics, all those, sculpture, loved them. I never took painting. I just never, when I was lining up my classes for each semester, it was just one that I always avoided because drawing was my thing at the time when it came to like canvas and paper. So I never I never thought of my shirts as a canvas.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
I get what you're saying. You're like, while I did that and it was free, that wasn't necessarily what you envision as like, I'm painting on a canvas.
Because when I think of painting, I think of the traditional,
right?
Bob Ross.
Yes.
And I was like, I dissociated myself from that.
Okay.
From being that. And so I didn't walk into that until a year after I graduated. So around 2013, that's when I started creating things on canvas. I painted a couple canvases while I was in school, but it was never for a class.
It was just for something outside. It was
just for leisure. It was just to,
exude some kind of art and just breathe and get something out that you needed to. Okay.
So that's kind of how I came to, walk into that.
So if you don't mind me asking, again, we're kind of I'm just going based off of what you're saying. What led you then to finally pick up a paintbrush and start that following year?
I was in my experimentation phase. Okay. I think I was fresh out of college.
Right.
I had a lot of frustration trying to get a graphic design job.
Understood.
So I was freelancing, but because money wasn't coming in on the artistic end, you know, I'm in the workforce, I'm in warehouses and everything like that, and I was feeling like I was being torn away from my passion. So all the little time that I did have to myself was going towards painting.
Got it.
And then, you know, you had the like social media was becoming
a thing. Yeah.
And so now I'm like, all right, I deserve to project this and share this with the world.
Absolutely.
And then I was getting a lot of good feedback from that thing.
Absolutely.
And so I think all of those things working together encouraged me to start doing it seriously. And it wasn't until people were like, well, how much is that? I'm like, I'm not used to hearing how much.
That was going to be my next. Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
So that was like a phase where I was like, all right, cool. Now I can actually start selling what I'm creating.
Right.
But like, you know,
I love this.
It was still new for me. I was still self-taught in this thing.
Yeah.
You know, even though I had a degree in art, that was the one class that I just...
You never actually picked up or did?
Yeah.
Okay. So then we're completely off. I'm just going to say that we're off of the outline. At this point, I'm amazed and I'm loving it. So when did you then put the correlation like together with, I have something special going on here with the canvases. I'm being commissioned, like I'm being asked now to actually like for people to pay for my art. And like you said, you had no idea how to price it.
Yeah.
Where did you find the like, this is what my value is, right? Like, and how did you get that sense of your own self-worth and the value that you truly do deserve?
Yeah.
Like, how did that start to kind of like come to fruition?
I think with anyone that is like maneuvering with a passion and trying to make a entrepreneurial type of a venture out of that.
Yes, exactly.
It's a hard thing to do. And one thing that we aren't really like honest about too much is that we do borrow that from other people that are either in that lane or in a similar lane. So I am like, you know, even when it came to what I was choosing to paint, I'm painting paintings of other paintings.
Fair. Okay.
And I needed that to sharpen my skills because I'm looking at these images. It was too intimidating to try to paint a picture of a person.
Fair.
And so I would rather look at a painting that already exists because I could break it down visually with the brush strokes and everything.
Right.
I'm like that, you know, the colors are blocked more.
Okay.
So around that time, I was like, this is a period for me to refine my skills as much as possible. And so in order to take myself seriously, I have to do what other people who are taking themselves seriously are doing. But just do it in a way that works for me. So when it came to like price gauging, like that was one of the hardest things to do, especially because it's not fixed too. Like art appreciates in over time. Like it appreciates in value over time. And so you do have to up your prices as your skills are upping too.
Absolutely.
To make sure that that scale is balanced.
Right.
So I think the point for me was that 2014.
Okay.
Because that was around the time that I chose to have my first official art show. It was in a tattoo shop.
Love it.
But the walls in that tattoo shop were muraled out.
Yes.
The owner of the shop, shout out to Ego.
I was just gonna say, I know exactly who.
him and my other creative friend Dion had painted the walls of that tattoo shop. Yeah. And it was a big thing because that was the first event that he had in there because his previous tattoo shop had burned down.
Right.
So the theme of this one was Rise from the Ashes, Phoenix. And so they painted Phoenix birds on the wall.
Absolutely.
And so that was the first space that I actually brought like all the stuff that I had been experimenting on and hung it up. None of it was framed. It was just pinned to the wall.
Canvas
I just wanted to share that with people.
Absolutely.
And then that was also my first live performance.
Okay. So. Which, I don't know if you want to talk about that. That's become a big thing.
It has, yeah.
So that was your first live performance, literally. And so, Bryan, you're amazing. I'm so all over the place, but it's because I'm just going with where the conversation goes. I love the fact that like you've just dedicated yourself to do the work, and then in doing the work, you've just built up your value and built up your worth based off of I'm refining my own craft, and in refining it, I now know that this is worth this, and now I can you felt worthy enough, because I think at times there's that imposter syndrome, and there's that, like you were even saying, like
that's
that
big.
I don't know what I am or I'm not. So I love the fact that you, as you refine your craft, you find your worth, because you're phenomenal, and I will continue to tell you you're amazing. And then now you're just putting your work out there, and in doing that, you're actually coming into your next, like you're stumbling upon your next big thing.
Yeah.
So that's your first live show. Now, if possible, at what point did you then just go straight into live shows? Like, because I want everyone to know, like, the amazingness that is your live shows. Like, talk about how that became a thing too.
Man.
Like, you are just, I mean, multifaceted.
Thank you.
Yes.
That was, having that support from the community was a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
And correction too, that first show took place in 2015.
Okay.
It meant a lot to me because I had dedicated that show to the memory of my mom. She had passed that year, and I didn't have my first show until after that happened.
Right after that happened.
And that was a big shift for me.
Right.
Because I'm working 2 jobs.
Absolutely.
And I was burnt out.
Right.
And so, like, you know, I'm looking at her life, and I'm like looking at where I'm at in life at that point. I'm 25 years old around that time.
Right.
And I'm like, this ain't what I want for myself. I don't like what I'm feeling right now.
Right.
Like, one, I'm grieving while also putting my body through burnout, which is not a natural thing to do. I deserve enough space to be able to grieve comfortably and to be able to re-navigate my life to, like, reroute, you know, to where I want to.
100%.
So I left one of my jobs that year.
Okay.
I kept the other one, and I was like, let's just take this leap and see what we can do with this. And I went full-fledged. So I had that first art show that year, 2016. I immediately followed up with another show at the same spot. Just because it gave me a big dopamine hit to see how many people were ready to pull up for me. Even like just going out for a night and running into people I knew, and they're like, yo, when's your next art show, man?
Right, yeah.
That just, it filled my heart full of joy, and it let me know that I was doing the right thing for myself.
Yes.
And so I think that period in itself was a lot for me. It was a big eye opener for me.
Okay.
And it definitely changed the course of, like,
where your life was headed. So then, and please, I don't want to put words in your mouth. So, but what I'm hearing is that in the midst of pain, in the midst of when life really threw a curve at you, it led you to a point of having to have that moment with self of like, what am I doing? I don't like where I'm headed. I don't like where I'm at now. Life is so fleeting, and there's nothing worse than when someone passes that. It shows how finite life is, and how time is just going. And it's in those moments then, and it sounds like that's what happened, that you're like, no, I don't want this for my life anymore. A change has to happen, and you just left.
Absolutely.
Okay. Absolutely. And you've been soaring ever since.
Yeah, it's been quite the journey, and you know, it's been a blessing because the focusing of, like, myself as a person, as Bryan, has bled into the work that I do as Prolifik. You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing that I kept separate for a while, like Clark Kent and Superman.
I was going to ask about that, how you were Prolifik versus Bryan. Okay.
It was, because at one point, you know, I did tap into that. All right, I am prolific, like in and out, through and through.
Okay,
and it was empowering because it was me putting a name on where I was at during that time.
Okay,
but the one thing that happened was I created the same burnout that I ran from. With my art.
Talk about that. Okay,
at that point, art, having been my passion, having been the one thing to give me a release from.
Right. It's your saving grace since childhood.
Now it feels like the very thing that was providing, you know, I'm waking up and I'm feeling like my passion is now a 9 to 5. And I'm like, well, realistically, it's paying the bills, but it's not allowing me any space to actually, you know, be grounded.
Okay.
So there was I had to take inventory.
Okay.
And I had to, you know, make adjustments, and I had to start saying no to certain opportunities. I was so used to saying yes to everything,
right?
Which was to be expected at that stage in my artistry too, because like artists, especially painters, want to make a name for themselves.
Right.
Visibility is a thing for everybody.
Absolutely.
So I still wanted the visibility, but I wanted to be smart about it.
Right.
So I was looking at things. I'm like, all right, am I making more money by being here, or am I just putting myself through burnout for the sake of
just the visibility?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So then at that point, you went from just going, because like I said, I've seen you were at one point like everywhere.
Yeah.
You were literally everywhere, from painting on buildings to painting murals in like offices to painting. I mean, and you can share, because I also want to give you your flowers, like all the different ventures that you've done. Like we can go down like memory lane. However, it sounds like then you got to a point where, and thank God you got to a point where you're like, I need to pick and choose now just for my own sanity. Yeah. And so do you feel like you found that balance now? How do you feel like?
I think it's a privilege that I've earned too.
Love that.
Having been skilled in different things and having been on the journey that I've been on, like you said, I've been in numerous different spaces, and it's a privilege for me to say that I haven't had to use a business card in years.
Your name lives for itself. Like,
literally. Yeah. Like, so, I've been close-knit relationships with the people of my community.
Okay.
And I found that because I present myself in that fashion to where I can hold space with virtually anybody, it makes people feel safe around me. So it makes like an encounter with a stranger feel like an actual like, real genuine encounter and not like a sales pitch.
Right. I do. Trust me. Coming from, quick plug, because I am in real estate and that's what funds this lovely platform here. Just saying. But it's the same concept. One of the things I always tell people is that I am not by any means salesy. I want to make space for people. And if that means that there's an opportunity for us to be able to work together, if there's an opportunity for me to be able to assist, then I'm here all the way. But I'm never going to be the person that says this is what you need to do, or how can I, or put a pitch in at any point. So I absolutely understand that. So it sounds like you're creating opportunities for yourself by just holding space.
Exactly.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's therapeutic too, because the community needs more love and more compassion. Like people thrive off of compassion in itself,
right.
And I feel like that's my biggest selling point. Just maneuvering with genuine compassion and wanting to operate outside of like all of these oppressive establishments that are in place that like tell us that we should view each other as commodities instead of real human beings.
Right.
That's a rarity to find now. Like that type of energy is rare, and when you encounter it, you're like, oh man, I want to hold on to this.
I want to hold on to this.
I want to support this.
Hello. That's the premise of this entire podcast.
That's why we here, for sure.
Like this whole thing. I love that. And in doing that, I want to believe, and I'll say it again, I want to believe that you can do good and good will still come to you. Like you don't have to fall not guilty. You don't have to fall victim to the rat race. You don't have to fall victim to the way that it's always been done. Like you can really just be genuine. You can, I said this, I want to say on like episode 1, and I wholeheartedly believe it. I want to believe that I can be a good person. I can stand true in who I am and still have good come.
Love that.
And so, I mean, that's what I think we should all strive for. And it sounds like that's exactly what you're holding on to now.
Yeah. Listen, me and my brother, my brother lives in Chicago now.
Okay.
So we have frequent calls just to kind of keep our relationship tight.
I love that.
So we'll have a vent session.
Amen.
Artist vent session.
Talk about them.
Because we experience a lot of the same things on our own journeys. He's selling, paintings from his website and everything.
Okay.
So we'll connect and we're like, how you feeling? And we're both like, oh my God, let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you what this client did to me.
Okay.
They didn't pay their deposit and they still hit me up, or they're late on their other half.
Right, yeah.
It's a lot. So it's therapeutic for both of us because it lets us know that we're not alone in our experiences. But towards the end of the conversation, we come to this realization of like what we need to do.
Right.
Like we don't suggest things for each other, but we like observe what.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, I know what you're doing because I just
experienced this, and I just
experienced
did.
that.
Right. Okay.
And so like, you know, where like our last phone call, it was about burnout. He was like, I just want to be able to paint what I want to paint.
Right.
And
Not what.
That be enough. Collaboration, there's burnout there because you have to actually balance your execution of art with what somebody else is thinking.
Right.
And it's hard to do that because a lot of times they don't have the words to tell you what they're thinking.
What it is that they're thinking.
And they know what they want.
They're like, I want this. I know in my head it feels like. So how do you make that work?
Man, Pinterest done ruined everything for me. Because like when it comes to, I'm not shaming people who like love Pinterest. I love Pinterest, but when it comes to collaboration with clientele, that's usually their first go-to to communicate what they want with me.
Okay.
So they're sending me screenshots.
Right.
Like, I want something like this.
That looks like.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I understand it, but at the same time, I'm like, I need a little more room for creative licensing.
Okay.
To be able to give you something that you might not have seen before.
Okay.
But still captures the mood that you're searching for based on this picture. So it's not going to look like what you sent me.
Right.
But it's going to still capture the same energy that you're looking for.
That you're looking for.
Yeah. So I try to like, before somebody could send me pictures or whatever, I want this. And I'll be like, all right. I got you.
Right.
Because I know I can do it.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, there's integrity that comes into play. Artist integrity is definitely highly slept on.
Okay.
Usually. But like it's something that you really have to take into account when you're creating your own portfolio. But I would say artist integrity is it's very valuable because it's something you have to be mindful of when you're creating your portfolio, when you're creating a legacy of work for other people to indulge in.
Okay.
You want to have original work that represents your mind.
Right.
Not just, you don't want to have work that just shows that you can execute
that you can actually draw kind of thing. Like I can paint. I can do something.
And you know, like we love crediting, we love receiving credit.
Absolutely.
And so like imagine putting all of your heart and soul into making something,
right,
and then putting it out there, and then maybe months to a year later, you see another artist actually do a replica of that
exact thing.
They don't know where it came from. They just probably saw it on Google,
right?
But at the same time, you know, that's your heart being portrayed in somebody else, and
they don't have necessarily.
They don't know the story. They don't know the intent. So that's one thing I'm careful about. Like I understand it because it's an energy that I used to sit in,
right?
To, you know, sharpen my execution,
right?
But now that I have the execution, the ability to create, you know, realism or anything that I want to at a high frequency,
right?
I deserve to tell my own story and have that show through.
I love
what I'm doing.
Absolutely. So the artistic integrity is important, and it's. More than anything, not only are you an artist, and of course you've got the capabilities. That's just, it's spewing out of you. But now you're able to stand in your integrity and say, but I need the ability to also execute my heart in this story. I need to be able to show a little bit of Bryan, prolific in that aspect, a little bit of prolific in this art, whatever it is that they come. How do people respond to that when you because I don't think there's anything you've ever put out there that I've seen that I don't think is amazing. So, and yet, if someone asks you for something, how do they respond when you're like, I need my ability to?
Yeah, usually people are understanding with that.
Okay.
You know, when people, it's all about language too. Like, I'm not harsh about things like that. I'm not just dismissive, oh, I'm not doing that. I would never do that.
Exactly.
I think that's choosing my language, choosing my words right when it comes to extending grace to the experience that somebody else is bringing to me.
Okay.
I don't want to just discredit where your mind was, because you might have sat with this idea for a while,
right?
And for me to be dismissive of that would be to say, oh, I don't like what you're bringing or what you're saying, right? And I want to make sure that their thought process is valued when they bring that type of thing to me. So consultations are really important to me.
Okay.
in establishing like the route that we plan on going if this collaboration is going to make sense.
Okay.
So I preface everything with, okay, I understand what you're bringing to me.
Right.
I love the energy. I think we should do something that represents both of us the best way, so that what we create, like what the idea you gave me and my execution of that idea is going to be a beautiful collaboration, something that we might see on Pinterest.
Right.
The next person might be taken to the next creative, like, can you make something like this?
Oh, I love the way you say that.
Yeah.
So in that way, you're like, you're commissioning me to do this work and I'm for it, but it's a collaborative experience. So I want to take everything you say. I want to take what you're bringing to me, allow me to also bring me into this, and let's watch what collaboratively we can create.
Yeah, and I like the commission to mean more than just what that moment calls for too. Because if we're gonna collaborate for this, I want it to because I like to break ground.
Okay.
So I'm like, let's make some waves with this.
I love that.
Get them excited about it. And, all right, now we got something cooking. And so it gets me excited about it too because like I said, collaboration is a difficult thing.
Right.
It's easy for me to do what I want to do because I only have to consult with myself.
With yourself, right? Yeah.
So when I'm consulting with somebody else, I don't want to go too far into my own desires of bringing it out to where we're derailed from what they want to do.
Right.
But I don't want to go too far into what they want to where I lose myself in the process and it feels like I'm just, I don't feel invested fully.
Fair.
And I want it to be a balance of both of those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I want to get an idea now. So we've talked about your art, your artistic expression, your ability. At what point, where were you able, like, what keeps you motivated, I guess, to continue to go forward? Because you have shared that, like, burnout's a real thing. Thank goodness you have your brother and you guys are able to, like, bounce back and forth. There have been different points where you're like, what am I doing? So, like, what is that keeps you motivated today and like, focused on your passion, your craft, and then your business? Because this is also, like, you've made an entire, like, amazing business out of just your artistic expression. So what keeps you motivated today?
A lot of things. So in short, I would say life. Life is definitely, I have a tattoo on my chest that say life breeds art.
Ooh.
And so I think the experiences that life has taken me through has allowed me to, one, look back and see the legacy that I've already created for myself.
It's amazing.
So, like, when I look through old images or even, like, old work that I struggled through that I know I can just do like that now.
Right.
I look at that. I look at old pieces, and one thing that I can, like, sense from it is the moment that I created it. So I remember the music I was listening to.
Really?
Yeah, like the work that I was doing for my first art show.
Yeah.
I was experimenting with oil paint and watercolor.
Okay.
So when I look at those pieces, I hear the Weeknd's album.
Really?
Yeah, because that was all I was listening to, front and back. That's when I discovered the Weeknd.
Okay.
I was late to the game, but once I dove in, I was like, oh yeah,
this is it. He's that guy. Yeah.
And then years after that, I was in my neo soul bag, Erykah Badu.
Yes.
So, like, I'm looking at pieces and I just hear songs that I had either had on repeat at the time. I remember scents, like the incense that I had. Yeah, I remember the wine I was drinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, we're about to take a quick sip again. You better go. Are you serious?
Yeah, so there's a lot of energy stored in my work. And so for me to have, for the pieces that I still have access to, that's a beautiful thing. Even when, like, I visit a client's house and they have it up. They have, like, one of my old pieces there. I'm like, it's like me, like, being reconnected with an old friend. It's like, damn, I haven't seen you in so long.
Wow. That sounds
And I'm just
beautiful.
touching the piece and I'm like, wow. So
that keeps you.
That's one thing that keeps me very motivated because I'm like, I came a long way.
You really have.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen, I don't even know if the art gallery is still open. I'm not even going to say, but the one on.
Oh, yeah, they unfortunately closed their doors.
I thought so. I thought it was coming. But, like, I remember when I went in there once and I just saw so many of your pieces just there. I was just like, oh my God, like just watching the evolution and watching like so many of your like pieces and your work there. And then, like I said, I've been to your shows. I've seen the evolution. I mean, you're on 3rd Street. Like, can you talk about that?
That is
like,
still surreal. It's something that's, I don't think will ever really, like, the reality won't settle in completely. Just because I'm so amazed at how that came to be.
How did that come to be, if you don't mind?
Yeah, so
we'll go left again real quick.
Yeah, that's cool.
I love. There's so many parts of you that I'm like, we could literally talk about this for hours.
Sharing.
Like
I love
hours.
sharing.
Like there's so many different points.
So around that time,
yeah,
we're post-pandemic.
Okay.
Still pandemic regulations and everything, quarantining and everything like that. Still mask regulations and all that. But around that time, one thing that was occurring during the pandemic was a lot of injustice, social injustice.
Right.
And so we've seen the death of George Floyd. We've seen the, the killing of Breonna Taylor.
Right.
So all of these things were taking place. And then what you saw was just the Black and brown community just say enough is enough.
Enough is enough, right.
And so you saw more protest than anything.
Absolutely.
It was a beautiful thing for us to be in the streets marching and, for us to like be pushing awareness for all these issues. And at that time, there was a massive need for or a call for appreciation.
Right.
Like appreciation from the outside in and then appreciation from within as well.
Right.
Culturally. And so there is a nonprofit organization by the name of Sprocket, Mural Works. So they're responsible for a lot of the murals you'll see throughout Harrisburg.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They do the work in securing funding to be able to pay artists to be able to paint murals on buildings. They'll go through
love that.
They'll get people from the community involved in a steering committee. And then those people will select a few artists that they have in mind.
Okay.
And then they'll bring those artists into the loop and have a meeting with them about the vision. So that's how it happened with me.
Okay.
They had a steering committee of beautiful people from the community. And
your name came up.
My name came up with a few others. So, a couple people on the team definitely was like,
no, this is the guy.
You couldn't have asked for a better artist.
Absolutely.
Or more,
and they are not wrong.
Appropriate for this scenario and celebrating Black lives.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, that was me all day. And once they brought that to my attention, I was like, yes,
all in.
Absolutely, because the vision that I had was something that I was. I did do a canvas of something similar where I had a Black woman with a head wrap and a fist.
Yeah.
So I wanted to redo it through a better execution.
Right.
And I was just like, I'm saving it. A lot of ideas that I have in my head, I'm saving it for when the opportunity presents itself.
And how do you know that that's the opportunity?
One, I don't paint unless I absolutely feel inspired to do so.
Ooh, okay.
Like even if it's like, all right, I know like I have a lot of time to be able to dedicate to, on a certain week. When that week comes, I'll take inventory energetically. If I'm like, I still feel kind of tired.
Okay.
So I'll binge Netflix.
We all have our moments. Painting. Yeah.
I used to feel guilt when it came to that. Like,
fair.
I'm like, I should be working. I should have a paintbrush in my hand.
Right.
I've had this canvas on the easel. It's ready to be painted.
Right.
But I liberate myself by only painting when I have the energy to do so. I'm not going to push myself to the point of like burnout or like I'm still a night owl, but like I still know how now to like tear myself away from my work to be able to get rest so that I can continue it in the right way.
Absolutely.
One thing that they taught us in art school was to take breaks from your work. Like I had a 3-hour drawing class. We're all in a semicircle and we're just like drawing our subject from different vantage points.
Right.
It's 3 hours. So like maybe an hour in, we had to take a mandatory break.
Okay.
Because if you're at the canvas for that long, you might have the energy to execute.
To continue, right.
But visually, your proportions are going to be off if you don't take a break.
Okay.
Because every time we took a break and came back, I'm like, oh, that's off. I
gotta fix this.
Yeah.
Because now you have a fresh perspective.
Exactly.
Okay.
I let the brain breathe a little bit and then come back. So back to the subject though.
Right.
But,
yeah.
So I knew I had this vision, and I knew I wanted to carry it out.
You know
so
that,
when they gave that opportunity to me, I was like, this is perfect for that. So I sketched 2 different ideas out. One was something I came up with the night before.
Okay.
The other one was that idea. That's the one they ended up going
Clearly.
with. So once they chose me, they was like, all right, we're picking buildings out and securing contracting for that project. And then once they got back to me, they was like, all right, pick out a background color. I was like, purple's a good one. It's vibrant.
And
so they painted the background for me.
Oh, so they gave you that at least not blank canvas, but like that purple canvas that you asked for to work on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So once day one I pulled up, it was already dry and it was ready for me to paint. And I was just finishing up a previous mural that I did around the corner. Yeah, on 6th Street. So that was a mural of the Tuskegee Airmen.
Correct.
Yeah.
Love.
So the last day that I finished that was the day before the first day that I started this new one.
Oh, wow. So the timing was like...
I hopped into it.
I love that, though.
It was even before the Tuskegee Airmen, like I had finished up another mural project with Sprocket on the bridge that leads to the train station.
Right.
And so
that was your work too.
That was good practice.
Yeah.
So I like my energy was intact. I was like, I feel good.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I done conquered my fear of heights to be able to
I was going to ask because that was really high.
Man, it wasn't the height per se that got me, but it was the stability of the box that I was in. It was wobbling. Ooh. And so I'm like, oh my God.
And you're over here just like, okay.
So I'm just like, stare straight, don't look down, stay still. And so I'm just
paint.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Gorgeous, by the way.
Yeah. So I was able to document the process too. Okay. So it's on my TikTok.
Love
from
it.
Day 1 to day 9.
Which you have an amazing following, and we'll definitely add all of those things at the end because you're phenomenal at that. And so they so if I'm understanding correctly, all of these opportunities, it sounds like they're highly ordained almost. They're coming to you. These aren't things that you're actively pursuing. Opportunities are
divine assignments.
They're coming. Right. So they're just coming to you.
Yeah.
So now with that, what's next for you?
So I'm gifting myself with the opportunity to create a new body of work.
Okay.
With this body of work, I'm attacking a lot of like political themes. One of my favorite things to do is read, and so because I've took down a lot of books during the past 2 years alone.
Okay.
I have a pattern of reading, so I'll read something that's political or historic, history book, and then right after that I'll read like a fictional book, 'cause it's a good break from the seriousness.
Absolutely.
And so all of the knowledge that I've possessed, I want to be able to pour that into art. Like instinctively when we finish a book, we want to share that knowledge with other people. And so now I have the blessing to be able to communicate that knowledge that I've learned through this. And a lot of these stories that I'm reading are stories that the Black and Brown community haven't been taught. And, they've been left out of so many school books.
School books, right.
Yeah. So now I'm like, all right, cool. Now I got to tell this. Like, so this is like a future calling for me.
Okay.
But so with this collection of work, I'll be writing a book along with it.
I love this.
So each piece gets its own write-up.
Okay.
And they'll all come together. So like the day that I decide that the collection is done is when the book will be done as well.
Will be done as well. So for every time you do a piece,
I'll do the write-up.
You'll do the write-up then right after. So in that way, you're actually finding an opportunity to encompass all of your creative spaces. Because when I say hearing that, like, you literally do write and do all the other things. So this is just this makes a lot of sense.
I'm having fun with it, yeah.
Okay. And so you're finding a way to maintain your integrity. You're still having fun. You're still motivated.
Yeah.
Have you given yourself a deadline for this or?
So ideally, I wanted the series to be 20 pieces long.
Okay.
So talk to my creative friends. They're like, that's a lot of pieces for a
Right.
series. So, because I'm teetering back and forth and because I'm also being called to other things,
right.
I haven't put a deadline on it.
Okay.
I put a soft deadline of when I would like to, be approaching a finish to it. So next summer would be that date.
I love this.
But yeah, I'm definitely this is a gift to myself, so I deserve to take my time with it.
100%, 100%. And then one of the things I always ask individuals before we wrap up is, what advice would you give someone currently just starting their journey? So let's say there's someone out there who has the passion, who knows that this is what they love to do. They just don't have, whether it's the resources or they're battling imposter syndrome, they're uncertain, they're coming into new waters. What advice would you give someone who feels as though they have a passion for art and don't know how to get started? And then I have a follow-up after.
Okay. Create. Just create. Whatever has been sitting at the forefront of your consciousness, it deserves to be seen by your eyes first. Because that's a statement in saying that your thoughts are valid enough to be, just portrayed in any type of way through art. So doing that and doing that consistently will bring people in ultimately. So I would say create first and then share that creation with the world. If anybody takes time to comment on it, they've taken a slice of their life to be able to indulge in what you've created. It might be in the form of criticism. It might be in the form of compliments. But ultimately, because you deserve to be validated, what you create, it might not look like how you want it to look like. Or, you might judge it based on a million other creatives that are floating around on social media. I would say don't let what others are creating affect your means to create. Because even if it does look like somebody else's work or somebody says, like, I've seen this before, art is just as unique as a thumbprint. How all fingerprints look the same, but they're still unique at least 1%. The uniqueness is in the story that you put into it. Because it came from you, it came from a unique source. And so it is divine. And
that's beautiful. Yeah. That really is beautiful. And then the other piece of advice that I want you to share is, what advice would you give your younger self?
I honestly wouldn't.
Really?
I wouldn't. Looking back on the journey that I've embarked on, my younger self was very covered in support. And even the times where, like, I chose certain routes and I was like, maybe I should have went the other route. I think going back and changing that route will ultimately either delay or erase the wisdom that I have now from the route that I did choose.
Wow.
So if I had to say anything to him, it would be from a space of affirmation. So I just dap him up and be like, keep going, bro.
Keep going. No matter what, just keep going.
That's it. You're doing the right thing.
Right. Ooh, you better go. That in of itself is another word. Can we talk about that?
For real.
Like, that in of itself is, where can people find you? And then I'm going to start talking about some takeaways from this conversation.
For sure.
Oh my God, having space with you has been amazing. So where can people find you?
At King, Prolifik, King Prolifik. That's the moniker. You can find me anywhere if you type that in anywhere. I'm on TikTok. I'm on all the social platforms. So,
any upcoming shows? Anything that?
Yeah, December 20th. It's a Friday. I will be having an exhibition entitled "Because I'm Black."
Ooh, where can I'm going?
It's going to be on Front Street at the Civic Club.
I will be there.
Okay.
I will, and you got my word here.
For sure.
Live. I'm going to be at the show. So see y'all there too.
This piece will be one of the many pieces. I was going to say,
that's my last thing. So talk about this piece.
Oh, this is Oshun.
Okay.
So 2021. I want to say before I did the mural, before that. I was coming into myself in terms of cultural appreciation and reconnecting with my roots.
Okay.
And so one thing that has been common for children of the African diaspora is to reconnect with more intention.
Okay.
And so I did research and found like my ancestry and everything is primarily in West Africa.
Okay.
And so that is the source of Yoruba traditions. So one thing that Yoruba children are taught is that when they're born, they're crowned by an Orisha. And
Okay.
Orisha is basically the synonym of God or goddess.
Okay.
So
It's beautiful.
if you think about like Greek mythology, like
Right.
the gods and goddesses in that, Africa has the same thing. There's a lot of parallels because of like how cultures were exchanged or stolen.
Right.
But yeah, so one of the Orishas is Oshun. Beyonce actually donned herself in in the same type of garb to kind of paint herself as an Oshun.
Okay.
But when an Orisha crowned you at birth, an Orisha has certain characteristics, and they come with certain blessings. They come with certain things. And so once you have that relationship established with them, you can build an altar on their behalf.
Oh, wow.
And then if you know the stories of the Orisha, you know what they like place at their altar.
Okay.
So with Oshun, she likes a lot of orange things. So I put
Oranges. Got
pumpkin
it.
at
Yep.
the bottom.
Okay.
She loves sunflowers, so I put that on her wrist.
I see on the wrist. Yeah.
She
I love
loves.
this.
She's the goddess of sweetness, so
The honey.
the honey.
Yep.
So essentially, I did a whole collection of these of different Orisha, and I wanted the piece to be an altar piece. So I put all the items in the painting, so it could be celebrated.
It can be celebrated
as an
according.
altar.
So these are the kinds of pieces we can see when we're there on December 20th.
Absolutely, everything with a divine story behind
Oh,
it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, Bryan, you are phenomenal.
Thank you.
Like, I'm giving your flowers in person.
Thank you.
I've been like, you truly, genuinely inspire me.
I appreciate
Like, you are pure-hearted. You're genuine. Like, and you're beyond like artistic and just like, I mean, the creativity is spewing out of you.
Thank you.
I thank you so much for sharing this space with me. Seriously.
I appreciate the opportunity. It's dope. Like, we definitely had beautiful conversations offline, but to actually do it with some intent behind it,
absolutely,
it's wonderful.
I love that. Yes. All right, so let me give my key takeaways. So, key takeaways from today's conversation. The first one that I'm taking away from today, based off of the conversation we had, was early on. Creates a safe space when you're looking to build like your art, or like having that safe space, whether it's people, whether it's a place, whether it's just your mentality, like create safety when you're looking to create something beautiful. So I thought that was really empowering. The second is not to doubt yourself, because at times something that you look at as, oh, just this thing, such as your Rick Ross painting or something of that sort, like for someone on the outside, they're going to look at it as something amazing. So never doubt yourself and don't dim your light. And the third is to maintain integrity in self and be true to who you are, whether it's in your artistic expression or if it's just in person. Like, stay true in your integrity. And then you'll watch how things just are drawn to you. And then the last one that I will say, and this is what we're going to close out with, is just simply to trying to think of how I want to word this. But like, because you've said such beautiful things, but the idea of like the manner in which to stay motivated is to just be true to who you are as well, in like internally. And don't try to force something to happen because you feel like it's the thing that I'm supposed to do, but rather make that, again, that goes back with the first one, like making that space to just be genuine and allow yourself grace and allow yourself the ability to make something happen and watch how things just are naturally just drawn to you. So those are my big takeaways from today.
That is good active listening. That is so dope.
Thank you.
That is fire.
I appreciate
I'm like, she hit all the points.
That's exactly what I got from this conversation.
Yeah.
And I genuinely like love the space. I love what you're doing. I'm excited for what's going to come your way. And so then, as always, guys, sending light, sending love, and catch you on the next one. Bye.